What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Outfielder Podcast, episode 93, brought to you by Sensibly Loud Media. I am your host, J-Mac, a.k.a. Founder Numero Uno, and I am joined by my co-host, Founder Numero Dos, Ben.
Don't sleep on Minnesota.
Baseball. Ben, what's going on, man?
Howdy, howdy. Have you been sleeping on Minnesota?
Always.
So as this cool front hits North Texas, where you and I are residing, and tomorrow's high is in the 30s, do you know what it's going to be like in the Twin Cities?
I would love to hear it. I have not checked in with Duster Dan on this.
Yeah, our boy Duster Dan lives up there. It's currently 10 in Minneapolis. The high tomorrow is 5.
Yeah, it's really not the it's the warmth that kills you, really. So, it just makes you stronger. That's really all it is.
So I don't know if anyone else in our listening public knows this, but Duster Dan and I are into living history, like World War I and World War II reenacting. And this past weekend, Duster Dan went to a Battle of the Bulge reenactment where he slept outside in the snow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, dude.
I feel like we have to hear more about that whenever we do the SLM roundtables here in a couple weeks.
Oh, it's gonna be outstanding. But it actually created a perfect baseball segue.
Okay, tell me more.
What do you know about pine tar?
Pine tar. Well, it's sticky. That I do know.
Okay.
Mark that for later.
We talked about pine tar a bit. There's some incidents with people using it on the bat. You're allowed to have it up to a certain line, but it can't go above a certain line, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I had a pair of World War II boots that I had to re-waterproof last night, and I opened up a can of Hubbard's shoe grease, not an official sponsor, and I opened it up, and I'm looking at the ingredients. It's basically just pine tar. So I covered a pair of boots in pine tar last night.
So it's basically just pine tar, or does it have a little bit more to it? Because I would imagine that it would be very difficult to get off of said boot.
It has some other, I don't have the can on me right now, but there's some other stuff too. But pine tar and like beeswax and something else.
I don't understand how you always have these cans of things that seem to be like very specific. Like there was a time... I don't even know if we've talked about this on the Outfielder before or not, but back when I had hair, I once had a cowlick type situation going on. And I asked Ben for some hair, like if he had any mousse or what did I ask you specifically for? Like wax?
I think like hair gel.
Yeah, hair gel. It wasn't gel though. We were not in like 6th grade.
Yeah, he asked me for some LA looks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anyway, and Ben pulled out this hair like gel stuff that he used. It's like it was more like an epoxy, the best way to describe it. And the way you described it to me was when I had a mohawk, this is what I used to keep it up when I got in the pool.
Yep. That's pretty accurate. It's not another official sponsor. This would be Murray's Pomade, and it's a fine orange can available in most major supermarkets.
I'm a Dapper Dan man myself.
Yeah, I know you're a Dapper Dan man. I get it. But anyway, yes. And by the way, if you're going to throw shade about cans, can you think of another way of storing waxy, greasy-like materials?
No.
Exactly. Point Ben Baseball.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. See, dude, this is exactly what happens when baseball is off, is we get to talking about like petroleum jelly in like the first 2 minutes of the Outfielder for whatever reason. That's what that hair stuff was. It had petroleum jelly or some shit in it. It was disgusting.
We will maybe tweet out the picture of it tomorrow, and we'll get a feel for exactly what else going on with this hair product.
Can you also tweet out a picture of you with said mohawk?
I'll see if I can find one. Mine was never as good as Duster Dan's, though. I had the more like low-cut Joe Strummer hawk. Duster Dan had like the 8-inch Liberty spikes.
Yeah. Okay, maybe we'll get that picture instead. We'll just say it's you because it looks mostly like you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, we miss baseball.
We miss baseball bad, dude. Like we're talking about absolutely nothing like 10 minutes into this show. And I just like, I texted Sam like a week ago and I was like, I miss baseball. And he said, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there for sure.
Yeah. Well, he's been avoiding us because we can't give him said baseball.
Right. I mean, we're going to have a just like we did at the beginning of this past season, we're going to have a commercial come out and it'll It'll give you guys an overview of what we've been up to in the off season.
What our lives have become. But hey,
not great.
J-Mac, can I do you happen to have a large pool of money laying around?
In the back, it's right by Brandon's office.
Okay. Yeah, he's our finance guy.
That's the money room.
So how much do you think it would cost if I wanted to up my stake in the New York Metropolitan Baseball Club?
Well, I saw that. So I think where you're going with this, do I kill the lead or do I keep going with this?
Just go for it. Yeah, you can kill the lead.
Okay, I'm killing the lead because I feel like this is so important. Like, this is big news coming out of New York. This is I'm so happy about the way you teed me up, but like this affects one of our very own, Jimmy Middletown.
Mm-hmm.
This affects big things on this show. This is a big deal, and this affects a lot of poor New York fans. And of course, I mean the Mets, because the Wilpon Group, who's previously owned the Mets, is now selling their stake of the team, their majority stake of the team, to Stephen Cohen, the billionaire. Dude, I'm going to stop down this show real quick and give it an applause. This is bigger than us putting Jimmy Midtown's name on Wikipedia.
Which I'm still waiting for that to get approved.
Yeah, they're working on it. It should be soon. It says it'll take like a week. Anyway, for those that don't know what we're talking about, go watch the award show. It's out there. It's a couple episodes ago. It's great stuff. Anyway, the Mets have been sold. I think there could be some hope on the horizon here, man. Were you shocked about this when you first heard it?
Well, anytime you get a major market team with a sizable ownership change, like, it's a pretty big deal because, I mean, there's just headlines about it, like this, I don't know that they're ever going to be a long-term threat to the Yankees when it comes to market share in the boroughs. But I mean, this certainly makes me feel like they're going to be a more competitive team.
So I agree with you. And I haven't had this conversation on this show a whole lot because there's not a ton of time to talk about it. And it actually doesn't come up quite as much in baseball. I mean, it does, but it kind of rears its head to different form. But I'm a very big believer in the concept of top-down management. And if you have ownership, for example, that can't make a decision to save their lives and can't decide which direction is the right direction for the team and when to let things go and when to take action, when you can't do that from a very, very high level of ownership all the way down, it affects teams to the point where they're not set up in a successful place to win at all. And you can look across, New York right here to the Knicks. They're a great example of that in basketball, where the owner's a moron and he can't decide on a direction, and it's just dysfunctional all the way down. And this has happened to the Mets for years, dude. The Wilpons have owned this team for so long, and they have made one bad decision, one dysfunctional decision after another. You're talking about an ownership that lost a sizable portion of the team to Bernie Madoff. And I mean, obviously a lot of people got duped in this financial scheme, but like, these are not the most, talented business people.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Like, look at it. I think Jimmy's I don't know how Jimmy truly feels about this. He says he's pretty okay with Brody Van Wagenen being their GM so far, and it's gone okay. He's been aggressive. I'll give him that. And like, I'll be interested to see what he does when he has new actual power and a supportive ownership group. But like, I think that when you look at decisions like hiring an agent as your GM, those are suspect decisions that, you don't see successful organizations doing things like that.
Right. That's like a throwaway gag in The Simpsons.
Exactly. And I want to, and another thing you touched on that I think is really interesting too is, so with this whole like top down kind of look at like how your organization is run. I mean, like, I'll use another NBA example. Look at how relevant the Clippers are for the first time ever. When not they have an owner who doesn't want to make his players buy their own socks. Like, seriously, like that was a thing in their ownership before that. And it's like, are you kidding me? You're not going to give these guys that are playing, 162 games socks? or in basketball 82, but you know what I mean. It's things like that make a difference. And I mean, I don't think that the Lakers are the only NBA team in LA anymore. And I think the same thing could kind of happen in New York with baseball, where, I mean, it's always going to be a Yankees town, right? But I don't know. You see the Mets actually doing something actually productive, I think you start to make a run at market share easily.
Yeah, especially if they can do it consistently, because that's going to be the mark of whether or not the ownership group has really started to make the right moves. Baseball's not an easy sport, and it's not something to where you can get long-term success very easily. So I think that'll be the way to tell if this investment is really paying off, is if the not only are you going to have seats in the seats, as it were, but are you getting quality product consistently? And I don't mean 1 season, 2 seasons. I'm saying like a decade where they are contenders.
Right. And like one of the fundamental misunderstandings about, if you really think about like the composition of MLB ownership, like this cost Stephen Cohen $2.6 billion to buy. Like this is not a cheap investment, right? But the interesting thing ends up being that you have all these owners that have worked really hard in business to get to where they are. And what do you do? Like, what's your, as a business person, like what's your goal? Your goal is to spend as little as possible, maximize that, turn a profit, and be successful in that sense. And that logic doesn't always work when running a ball club. And like there was a situation with the Rays in their very early days where they had an owner like that who would just like, he would just like shake down people for bringing in snacks at the, like into the gates, like trying to sneak in peanuts so they would buy them there. Like crazy crap like that, right? That's just like, I get that that's how you run a business, but like these are teams that like your product are humans.
Well, not only that, your product are humans, but you're not selling a tangible product. You're selling an experience.
Right, exactly. And I just think that's really important. And like, I don't think that, I feel like we've gotten better, but I feel like the people that can afford to spend $2.6 billion on a team didn't necessarily get there by running an organization the same way. Maybe because, I mean, there are a lot of people that hire the right people to do the right things and get out of their way and let them be successful. And that's how you have to run a ball club, is hire the right people. You're not always going to make the right hire. The Red Sox hired Bobby Valentine at one point, Ben. I mean, come on. Bobby Valentine.
Fantastic.
That's your little Mets tie-in too. But regardless, like you're going to make bad decisions as an organization, but you can rectify those decisions as long as you continue to make the right ones, not just continue to do the same dumb shit over and over and over and over.
Absolutely. And if I'm walking into a ballpark and someone tries to separate me from my Cracker Jacks, we're going to have another conversation.
Dude, I'm telling you, there's his name was Vincent Namoli, and he was the first. He actually just passed away like not long ago. May he rest in peace. But he was like a Goldman guy, and he was a cost cutter, and he wanted to, like, I mean, everything. Like they didn't even have, like, the Rays up until like 2008 didn't even own like the Rays.com web space. They all used Hotmail email addresses because they were free.
They were using TampaBayRays.org
yeah,
to save on the $2 domain name.
Yeah, like no, seriously, like it was that bad, man. Like it is, like it's a book. It's by Jonah Carey, and it will absolutely blow your mind at like how this guy ran this organization. And it's not just him. There's some other examples too.
It'd be like, if you want to buy nachos, you have to buy the chips and cheese separately. Combine them.
Right. Like it was like, and there was like situations where like, they're in Tampa Bay and they have, older folks coming in and they do like, go out to the ballpark day or whatever in the, old folks community or, whatever it is. Right. So you've got like, that's just like your demographic is like older folks. And like he got to a point where he had the ushers out there like looking for snacks to confiscate them from people. And he literally, like, there was a situation where like this old lady had to have like peanuts to take her medicine or, something like that. It was like a medical thing. It wasn't like I'm trying to bring Skittles into the ball game, right. It was a real thing. And they like took it from her and she passed out. It was this whole fucking thing, dude. And it's like, Dude, just let her have the peanuts. What are we doing here?
That's ridiculous.
Dude, it's just full of stories like that. It's unbelievable. It really is. So anyway, this is a huge thing for the Mets. And bad ownership like the Wilpons, that's a problem that doesn't go away. This is a big thing to go away. And I think that like even in markets where you have two big teams like New York, right? I feel like you're starting to see these in all these leagues, owners that think, you know what, we can have two teams here, and this one can be better than the other one. And you're starting to see an actual business approach to how these things are owned, not just I want to save every dollar I can and take in all the TV revenue.
Yeah, and it's like, why should we treat ourselves like the kid sibling club? Like, we can do what we need to do to be successful and to put that winning product on the field. Let's get out of our own way.
Exactly. Like, dude, like I really like, I say this all the time. I've been on the record by saying this. Building a club is just not that hard. It's really not that hard. It's very simple. You hire the right people to do the right things and give you the right information. You draft based on that information, and then you bring in the right pieces whenever it's time. You don't just like willy-nilly hand out contracts and stuff like that. You build a young core like the Astros have done, right? Build a young core and then put pieces around it. It's not hard.
Well, I think in theory it's not hard. I think in practice, right now we're not playing with our own money. We don't have but 280 billion to spend or whatever.
I'm with you, but like if someone's sitting there saying, "Hey, take player A," and I'm like, "I really want player B," but like I'm talking about a $2.6 billion investment, and someone's sitting there saying, "You need to take player A," I'm going to take player A because I hired this person to tell me what is best because I don't know about running a ball club personally. That's my point. Is like that's how they have to look at this. Because almost anything other than that is almost a failure at this point, which is crazy. But
yeah, it's like buying a souped up car and putting the cheapest gasoline in it. It's like, what are you doing?
Exactly. Like what? Like you've already that's the part that gets me is like, and that's I've screamed about this about the Red Sox and Mookie Betts. It's like you're a billionaire, like complaining about peanuts. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this makes you money. I don't know what the disconnect is. It's crazy. And you're just seeing a lot more competitive ownership and a lot of people that look at this as it's not that hard. Just follow the formula. And not everything, like the Astros proved that. They were bad for a long time. And they had a lot of draft picks and stuff that did not work out. But they were also smart enough to know, okay, this is when we should make some trades. This is when we should do this, and kind of orderly form everything together and not just build around whatever hot piece you happen to have today, and then he gets hurt. So then you got to draft another one, and then, and so you have to have a plan is the point. And I just don't think at the end of the day, there's no tried and true like formula, but it's really not that hard.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, you ready to pivot slightly?
A little bit, yeah, because now we can talk about the signings that have happened.
Exactly. So speaking of massive amounts of money, let's start with the world champions. J-Mac, who won the World Series this past year?
That was the Washington Nationals.
That's right. And if you could name a Washington Nationals pitcher.
I feel like I know where you're leading me. I'm going to go with Steven Strasburg.
Absolutely. What do you think the straw man just did over the weekend? How do you think he made his bacon?
Hold on real quick for me getting that answer right.
How do you think Mr. Strasburg made his weekend?
It worked out okay. It definitely worked out okay. This dude signed a 7-year, $245 million deal.
That's ridiculous.
And that makes him the highest average annual value for a pitcher in Major League history. That's absurd, dude.
That is absolutely absurd. And ridiculous on my part. When I saw this news headline, I was like, yeah, but he still hasn't proven himself and won a title. And then I remembered, oh yeah, he did that 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago, yeah. Baseball just ended. I mean, last year alone, he had a WAR on the team of 6.5. He went 18-6. He had a 3.32 ERA, and he pitched 209 innings with 251 strikeouts and a 1.038 WHIP. That's an elite pitcher.
Absolutely.
That is absurd. Like those are great numbers. And he wasn't. I mean, he's one of the top pitchers in the league, but I wouldn't even know if I classify him as the top pitcher.
No, I think he's up there. Do you think then, because I remember years ago, every time you see Strasburg's name, it was because they were trying to save him and not push him. So do you think this is now the fruits of those endeavors?
I mean, I don't think that it's unrelated. I'll give you that, because I think there's again, like whenever we talk about things in the context of this is not that hard, I throw less innings means I pitch longer. Like, it's very simple, right? Like, it's not that hard. And like, whenever you don't have to stretch the guy, whenever you're, still in your infancy stage, like the Nationals are a great example of the way that a team should be put together, where they've really grown a lot of that from within. And, they had the luxury of having Bryce Harper. Ironically enough, it didn't end up mattering for them. But that's the point, is like whenever you take one guy out, your whole team doesn't get ripped out either. Like, they've built this whole team within. And Steven Strasburg was in a situation where he was young, very young, and they didn't want to just ride him all the way until he was, completely dead in the ground at 20 years old. So they shut him down. And there was always a bunch of debate of, are they going to, shut him down? Are they going to shut him down? It's like, yes, they are, because they're not going anywhere right now. And it just makes more sense to give him more rest. Just like, what's the point of going and throwing all those pitches in a season where you're not going anywhere?
No, that makes sense.
I mean, what was your take on that at the time? Because that was around 2012 when that was happening.
Yeah. So part of me thought that it's how you get better is by more reps and by pitching in those game time situations. But I feel like then you're sort of, I don't remember the exact expression, you're losing the forest for the trees. Like you're missing out on the larger picture, or on the larger picture, because what does it matter if I win this series against the Braves when both teams are 500 ball clubs, in September? Like, who gives a care? Yeah,
exactly. That's the exact point. And like, but I do get the other side of it, where it's like, pitch, more pitches, equals more experience, and therefore equals wins, and et cetera, et cetera. But like, I think that we've gotten smarter with medicine, dude. I really do. And I think that's a big part of this, is like understanding what the body's limitations are, and like not just the body, but like that specific person.
That makes sense.
And
I mean,
so like,
I think,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think medicine's come a long way since we decided to start washing our hands before surgery. Like, that was a really good start.
Very true. Definitely a great start. But I mean, I hope that they washed up before the first Tommy John surgery.
Oh my God.
I hope James Andrews doesn't just come back from lunch and decide to.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. But I think that's a big part of that, dude. I really do. And like, it's one of those things, like, you just don't have like a million Nolan Ryans. Like, they're just, or Randy Johnson. They're just absolute tanks that never get hurt. Like, that just doesn't really exist. Like, those guys are freaks.
And to be fair, while they were pitching to top talent at their time, the talent of batter, the caliber of batter is different now.
That's exactly that's a great point.
I mean, they're totally different. The way the games are played is different than whenever Nolan Ryan started in the 60s.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that dude pitched in 4 different decades.
Like, that doesn't exist. Like, they're, like everybody always says that about LeBron too. It's the same kind of thing, where it's like, you don't understand. Like, the human body isn't like made to do what that player does.
Right.
Like, this isn't just like it's amazing that he's still, getting at it. Like, this is a freak human being. And there's like three of those people, like pitcher wise, that you can name off the top of your head that are like that. There's just not very many of them. And I think you're getting away from that mentality, though, of just going out there and trying to be a hard ass about it. I think you use medicine to your advantage as much as you can.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So in that case, Strasburg has signed. Has he set a market for some other pitchers that are out there?
So yeah, so the next one that I think is kind of on everybody's mind and the next domino to fall is Gerrit Cole. But the hell of this whole Strasburg thing is that Gerrit Cole's likely to get $35 million a year more.
That's ridiculous.
So, like, Strasburg will have set the value for, like, 3 days. It's pretty crazy, right? So, as we get to that, so the Yankees have reportedly offered him 7 years, $245 million. That's not going to get it done.
I know. Otherwise, he would have said yes.
Right. This is a $300,000 deal minimum.
And $300 million?
Oh, sorry, yeah, $300 million. Excuse me.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I do like him in New York, though. It makes me really intimidated to watch the Yankees for the next couple of years.
Yeah, it's not great. That's not something I'm hoping to happen. I'll tell you that,
dude. It'll certainly make those series a little bit more exciting.
Definitely, no doubt about it. But I think that's definitely the Yankees' need. There's no doubt about that. And they did fine last year, even with Luis Severino being out for majority of the season, really.
Yeah.
So
no, they're I think who is one of their best pitchers? Tanaka,
yeah. I mean,
Tanaka.
You're gonna have Tanaka out there as your guy, and he can kind of shoulder the weight. But you're a year older, and you're moving towards like really being in a window spot, and you got to make sure. And that's kind of where the Yankees are right now, where they're in a window that will close fast on them, but they need to capitalize on that right now, just like the Red Sox did last year.
Which is why if they get Gerrit Cole, it really does a lot for the likelihood of that window.
It stabilizes the whole thing a lot, and that's huge. So it means a lot to them, but $245 million is not going to get it done. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I mean, so the other main competition it sounds like he has is the Angels.
Okay, and what are your thoughts on that?
So the Angels are in an interesting spot. So they just basically re-signed a lease to like make sure that they stay in Anaheim for another, what was it, like 30 years?
Until
like
2050. So the Angels just signed with the city, the municipality or whatever, to stay in Anaheim for the next, 31 years?
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Right. So they're committing, and they want to put in like one of those, you got all the shops and food and everything around it, of course. And because that's the thing to do right now, and that's fine. Like you have to do that to stay competitive and keep your team relevant. Even though, as Sambino would tell us in our Slack chat, that no one actually lives or exists in L.A. I think is kind of how he.
No, I think he said Anaheim was the Waco of California.
That's a take. He then tried to tell me. He's not. No, he can't defend himself on this.
That's fantastic.
He should have been here for this. This is unbelievable. He also tried to tell me that Florida's not that bad. He's wrong, is what he is.
Okay, so Angels will remain in Anaheim, but does that give them any extra money to play with? What's that do?
I mean, it seems like they are wanting to spend money. I mean, they just gave Mike Trout a gigantic deal, and like basically whenever it's come to Art Moreno, the owner, deciding to open up the checkbook. So look at the Pujols contract. 10 years, 325, something like that.
Yeah, it was massive.
Yeah, it was enormous. That was all him. Josh Hamilton, 5 years, $125 million. Hilarious, but also him.
Yeah, probably should have bought the extended warranty on that one.
Probably so. I don't think he played more than like 2 seasons. Anyway, so you got to think, though, you've got Ohtani there. You just signed Mike Trout to a $400 million, like 13, 14-year deal. Like, it's time to get going, right? Like, and this is what I'm talking about, though, where like there has to be a rhyme or reason of why you're spending money.
Right. They have a plan. They're it's not to say that they'll play their cards the best way, but I mean, can you imagine the 1-2 punch of Ohtani to Cole?
But he's not going to be pitching, dude. He's done pitching.
Oh, Ohtani? They've totally taken him off? Because I knew they gave him the Tommy John, so it was officially he is only offense
hitting.
now?
Only hitting.
Really?
Yeah, he played that way about half the year this year.
But I thought that was just for medical. I didn't know that they made the full...
Yeah, they just decided we'd rather have you as a value than nothing at all, and why throw your arm out pitching when you're an excellent hitter and, so on and so forth, which is
That's
the
true.
right thing to do. Like, he wasn't going to be able to do that forever.
Dude, absolutely. So yeah, it's the same reason why Babe Ruth stopped pitching. Like, I totally get it. It's just ridiculous that they spent so much money for a player that can, two-way player, and they have a one-way player.
Right. No, for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, I guess you end up with said player still.
Yep, absolutely.
So I mean, it sucks, but I mean, I think that adds pressure to it, right? And so you're looking at a lot of it sucks they lost Tyler Skaggs to drug overdose or whatever it was, and they just don't really have a great rotation to begin with. And he was a big piece, man. Like, he was a good stabilizing third, fourth guy. And that's an important guy in the rotation. It's everybody always talks about your 1-2, but your 3-4 is really, really important.
Yeah,
and
no, for sure.
It's a stabilizing factor. Your fifth guy's a wild card. He's like Charlie on It's Always Sunny bailing out of the back of the van. He's always the wild card. And that's okay, because your 1-2 should be aces. Your 3-4 should be good pitchers that can, eat up innings. And then
I thought you were going to say he's like Charlie Sheen from the Major League movies.
Also relevant.
Wild Thing by the Trogs comes on.
Right. Perfect. But yeah, so you have this pressure, right, from them to be, better. Like they have some pieces to make up for, but like I guess my thing with this is I understand what they're trying to do. But you got to wonder is, like, if you spend all your money here, and we talked about this, it's going to cost $300 million minimum to get this done, and you're on the books between that and Mike Trout for, $500 million. Like, that's a lot of money, and you hadn't even filled out your staff yet. And so, like, that's why I'm talking about where you like build, with a foundation and then add these big contract guys, like what the Yankees are trying to do right now.
Yeah, just to bring it on home, not
Right.
to get you started.
Right. That's what's terrifying about that situation for me. Because, dude, they haven't historically done things well.
Who, Anaheim?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Anaheim, like, if this were the 4th of July, Anaheim's spending all their money on the grand finale before they buy themselves a fireworks show.
Right. Exactly. And you have this side of the Angels and Art Moreno as an owner every 5 to 10 years where he just decides to open the checkbook and let's spend some money on this thing, and then it doesn't really work, and then you kind of piddle around for the next 3 years dealing with old Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, and C.J. Wilson, and you're just you're not really anything relevant, even though you spent a boatload of money for no real reason.
And so in that case, do you think Gerrit Cole ends up in Anaheim, or do you think that he's more likely to go to the Yankees?
So you'll love this fun fact. He grew up in L.A.,
Okay.
10 miles from Anaheim.
Okay.
As a Yankees fan. What do you do, right?
I think he goes to play for the Pinstripes.
I'm starting to lean that way a little bit. I don't want that to happen, but
you kind of have to. Like,
well,
so think of him. He wants to put up good numbers, and if he's a competitor, he probably wants to win a ring.
So that's
where
the other
is
part
he
of
more
this.
likely to win a ring in the next 5 years?
Exactly.
New York every time.
Well, yeah, probably.
Then the Angels?
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying that anyone, but I'm saying of the teams that play.
Yeah. No, and those are two that, you just hired Joe Madden as your manager too. Like, let's not forget that. Like, they're doing a lot of things right, and that can say a lot. But I think what he's prioritized are a couple of things. It's location, which, New York or LA. What do you really,
Yeah.
You can't really, that's hard to compete with, right?
Would you rather be in traffic or mass transit?
Exactly. So you have that side of it. You have, obviously, the, grew up versus fandom type thing. You have the situation of winning and being in the best position to win, not just now, but if you're signing a 7-8 year deal, you want to make sure you're winning in year 4 of that deal as much as you are in year 1 of that deal.
Yeah.
And theoretically year 8, but you're paying for the right for 4 is how that ends up playing out typically.
Yeah.
He's a young guy, so like he's got some years on him, but this is a big contract. And and the final thing is, who's going to pay him the most? And I mean, if LA comes and gives him 325 for 8 years, it's a done deal. He's going to LA. Even though that's not necessarily the best thing for him.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I mean, I guess depends on what's important to you. But
right. Well, yeah, and it's about what's going to align most with his values.
Right. And the other thing is, he just lost a ring. So he's probably got some vengeance of wanting to get back to that place pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, let's revise that little statement for a second. By taking him out of the game and not putting him in, they lost the ring, not because of him.
Yeah. No.
This is an AJ Hinch problem.
Right. That was in no way, shape, or form a Gerrit Cole problem.
Correct. Just want to make that clear.
So let's pivot to another SoCal team.
Okay.
So let's go down the coast. We'll take, the 5, California freeways. We'll take Pacific Coast Highway down to San Diego. Tell me what you think the Padres have going on down there, because they recently acquired Tommy Pham from Tampa.
That's a hell of a thing. Did you hear about Blake Snell finding out about this while he was streaming on Twitch?
What? No?
Yeah, it's out there, dude. It's a great video. And he's just like, he basically is like, they traded him to the Padres for this and this fucking nobody. That's kind of how he reacts to it. It's pretty funny.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely out there. Go check it out.
This I'm going to give you some names.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Start with, do you want to start with Tommy Pham, or you want me to give you the context?
Give me the whole context.
All right. So, Padres additions in the last 2 years. Eric Hosmer.
Mm-hmm.
Manny Machado. Just recently, Jurickson Profar, and now Tommy Pham.
Love it.
Dude, I'm concerned in that division.
Yeah, that's going to be disruptive for sure. I don't know about Jurickson Profar. I mean, I don't know, dude. I've been watching that guy for so long, and I've just never done it. He's never done it.
He's a typical Texas Ranger, which means he will be talked about in the farm system, do nothing for the Rangers, get traded away, and be an all-star in another city. It's what happens.
It's probably true. It's probably very true. So we'll see. But that's a hell of an infield and an outfield, really.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, take Profar out of it. Just give you Hosmer, Machado, and Pham. That's not a bad little clip.
It's not a bad batting lineup either. And that's adding a lot of power. And I think you're going to have to if you're trying to really compete with like the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, and not only the Dodgers, but you could argue as far as windows go, San Francisco started to look better at the tail end of last year. While the Diamondbacks were terrible, they're still, of the last 5 years, they've had probably 4 winning seasons.
Yeah. And Colorado's the same way.
Right. So this division just got a lot more interesting, and I'm not expecting the Dodgers to win it by 25 games again.
So I'm still going to put them relatively close. I need to see more of what San Diego does to fill out the rest of it in the offseason.
I'm just saying that overall, I think the steam is out of the Dodgers. The wind is out of the Dodgers' sails, which pains me to say this because I like the Dodgers. I still think they're going to be competitive, and I still think they're going to be at the top of that division. I just don't think they're going to nearly have as easy of a job as they did in the past.
Yeah, maybe not, but maybe that helps them too because it provides actual competition for 19 games a year.
Okay, that's fair. And they're not just phoning it in, and then when they get to the playoffs, they're all rusty.
Right, exactly. Like that. I feel like that was a big problem for the Dodgers this past year. They never seemed ready. They never really did.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, any other thoughts on the Padres?
That's huge for them, man. Excited for them.
Well, let's pivot then to the only player we know that has dated themselves, Madison Bumgarner. We've talked a lot about Cole's market. What's going on with MadBum?
So, MadBum opted out from his contract to San Francisco. He's been on the free agent market. He's looking for like 5 years, $100 million. And I don't know that he's going to get that, dude. That's a lot of money.
Well, I think not only is it a lot of money, he's not a spring chicken. 5 years is a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's
like 33.
He's 30, but having been removed from a Tommy John surgery.
Wait, he's younger than we are?
Yes.
Oh, God.
He's 30 and 130 days in this, as of the recording of this episode. Just fun fact.
In the year of our Lord, 20 and 19. So it's formalized.
But yeah, I mean, he got hurt a couple years ago and has never really pitched quite the same since then. But I mean, like last year, he had a 99 record, a 3.90 ERA. He started 34 games. Let's see. He had 207 innings pitched, and he had 90 earned runs. That's not terrible, honestly.
Yeah.
He gave up 30 homers total. That's not great. I don't know. I guess that's like a 3-4 guy.
Well, yeah,
or
that's the thing
2-3
is,
guy.
I think he wants to be a 2-3 guy. He's closer to a 3-4 guy. And it's a matter of what team is looking for and willing to spend to get a 3-4 guy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that teams like the Padres are going to be interested in that, right?
I was thinking Padres. I was also thinking a team like the Twins.
I don't know that he leaves the National League. He seems like a National League guy.
Yeah, but I'm saying that a team like the Twins, like think of who bowed out of the playoffs last year, but definitely outplayed their expectations. I think that that's the type of team that would look for someone like MadBum and just add a couple more pieces who have some skins on the wall and then really drive it on home.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, I'm surprised that teams like New York aren't interested in him, like the Yankees. I really am.
Well, spending stupid money on big contracts does sound like the Yankees.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up was that whenever I first saw 7 years, with 245, that immediately made me think of Jacoby Ellsbury and what a terrible investment that was for them. Dude, I did not want them to re-sign him, but like I knew. Well, I did want them to re-sign him, but I also knew that like it's just going to play out so terribly, and it was so great to watch it not play out on my team because it was just one of those things you knew as soon as he started to decline, it was going to be a mess, and it was. So
it's one of my favorite J-Mac quoting someone else quotes is, "You sure hate to see it."
You sure hate to see it. I say it all the time.
So that's where you think MadBum is trying to run like the wind to get away from San Francisco. You say maybe like a San Diego or another National League mid-tier?
Maybe Atlanta, something like that.
What about the Dodgers?
I don't know that he would be a break the rivalry kind of guy. That means stuff to people like him. I don't know. No, if it meant the money, he'd go. I don't know if the Dodgers need him as much as like another team would. How would you feel about the Rangers doing that deal?
Not great, but I think that's just because of the dirt bikes.
Yeah, the dirt bike thing was stupid. He fell off a dirt bike and hurt his own shoulder. That's rough. But
well, like we have a history of players making stupid decisions, like whenever Derek Holland dislocated his knee allegedly falling down the stairs, but the rumor is he may have been playing hockey. Like
he was playing hockey.
What's that?
He was playing hockey.
Well, the report said that he tripped on his golden doodle going down the stairs.
Yeah, me too. But I think that'd be a good idea for them, dude. I actually would like that deal a lot. He's 30 years old. You're paying for 5 years. He's 35. When it's done, you spend a lot of money. You got a brand new ballpark coming, though.
Well, shoot, man. Just get out your Uniball and start inking on that line.
I'm telling you. Like, I think that'd be a really good stabilizing piece for them. And they've already got, they didn't trade pieces at the deadline last year, so you already have Lance Lynn and, you've got some decent pitching depth in that case. And you have a lead number one ace, because right now they don't have that.
Well, do they have an ace? We're just talking about him being a 3-4 guy. Just because he's better than the rest of your pitching staff doesn't mean he's an ace.
I realize. What? No, but what I'm saying, though, is like that could be a lead rotation guy that at least knows how to do it.
Got
And I mean, I don't think that he's necessarily like a bum, no pun intended, as far as like pitching wise goes. Like I really applause.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't think that he's necessarily like terrible in that sense. I just think he's going to get older quickly, and that's something you're going to watch out for. So I mean, if you even got him for a year being your lead guy, I mean, and then Lance Lynn, Mike Minor, and then fill out the rest of the rotation. Like that's not a horrible rotation.
Yeah. No. The more I'm chewing on it, there are definitely worse things out there. So speaking of the Rangers and pitching, what do you think about former Ranger player Cole Hamels going to Hotlanta?
Dude, that's a huge get for Atlanta. I was surprised. He only signed a 1-year deal. I was really surprised by that.
Well, to me, it seems like he's watching a market, finding, like I said, the teams that just missed it, still have a window, and then how can he help? How can he be a good rental player in that space?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's how you have to be looking at it. How old is he?
I'm not going to guess because I was so wrong on the last one, but I'll pull it up here.
He definitely has fallen off some, but he's not useless by any stretch of the imagination as far as on a rotation.
Ooh, he's 35.
Ooh, I didn't realize he was that old. Damn.
Yeah, he went 7-7 last year with the Cubbies with a 3.81 ERA.
That's not
then
great.
In 2018, he went 4-3 with the Cubbies with a 2.36.
That's a lot better.
Yeah, but God, 35.
Wait, wasn't that a split year with the Rangers?
Let me see.
I still can't.
Yeah, so for 18, it was a split year. So total for 18, he went 9-12, 11-6 with Texas, and then 5-9 with Texas and 4-3 with the Cubbies.
Yeah, I remember him getting a little bit better once he left here for whatever reason.
Yeah,
not to rub it in, buddy.
I told you, that's what the Rangers do.
Yeah, well, and he was a brought-in veteran guy, though. Anyway.
Yeah, he had spent a ton of time in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you brought up Philadelphia because the fact that they went out and spent 5 years, $100 million on Zack Wheeler is unbelievable.
That's a ton of money on Wheeler.
It's a lot of money. Bring up his stats here real quick. I want to kind of run down what he's done. But, I mean, he had a good year with the Mets last year. Hell, I wanted the Red Sox to get him. I really did. And I wanted them to trade for him at the deadline, but they didn't really have the pieces to really make something like that happen. And the Mets, if you remember, weren't really in that spot to be able to just let loose and trade everybody.
Yeah.
They should.
Do you want his numbers here from last year?
Please.
So last year his WAR was 4.1, which once again with a pitcher it's a little different, but 11 wins, 8 losses, 3.96 ERA, WHIP of 1.259.
It's not terrible.
No, it's 195 strikeouts.
But you've got Jake Arrieta, Zack Wheeler as your 1-2 guys now, though, on that pitching staff.
Plus, Wheeler is young. He's only 29.
Okay. So I didn't realize he was that young. But, I mean, 5 years, that's about right then.
And he's only been in the majors since 2013, so there's still plenty of tread left on those tires. Unless the Mets were picking up on an injury. Not there yet, but they're starting to see the signs for something, in which case they're like, you know what, just middle fingers go to Philadelphia.
Let's not go giving them credit here. I'm not willing to go out and say that a team that, had their manager scream at reporters in the locker room and also say that he only used analytics 15% of the time. I'm not crediting them with enough wherewithal to go out and pull a fast one over 29 other major league teams.
You know what would be a really good idea for him? To go to audibletrial.com/SLM and check out some books on analytics. You want to learn about sabermetrics? You want to learn about Moby Dick? You want to learn about anything? Check out a book, Holmes. There are those things that used to be with pages. Now you can listen to them. audibletrial.com/SLM. There you can browse the thousands of unmatched titles. Start listening today. Tell them those boys at the Outfielder sent us. Go to audibletrial.com/SLM. Get started streaming with your 30-day trial membership.
Well done, sir. Well done, Audible. It's good stuff. We'll give him an applause today. Feeling in a good mood. I was just looking at the pitching staff. So you're basically going to have Nick Pivetta, Aaron Nola, Zach Eflin, Arrieta, and Vince Velasquez as your guys, and then you add Zack Wheeler to that, and one of those guys gets bumped down. That's not a great pitching staff.
I'm not spending $100 million on that.
It doesn't. I would rather take a Bumgarner, I think. Oh no, Zack Wheeler's younger though, and that makes a difference.
Yeah.
Not by much though.
No, it's only a year or two, but Zack Wheeler hasn't pitched for as long, so they might see more upward potential on him than as opposed to Bumgarner. Maybe they think he's peaked or at least plateaued.
I love that you're jumping on my my theory about throwing less pitches equals longevity thing here. So you're already thinking in these mindsets and thinking, hey, he's younger, he's throwing less pitches. Maybe he has less risk of injury in that case.
I'm going to need you to shut up.
Welcome on board, buddy. It's a good place to be. I'm just telling you, Ben, it's not that hard.
All right. So, as you're planning for your baseball team, I'm going to throw 2 words at you, and I want you to tell me what you think.
Okay.
Powder blue.
Depends on the team.
Your hometown team that plays very close to where you lay your head at night.
Mm-hmm.
The Texas Rangers have unveiled new uniforms for 2020, which include powder blue trousers, shirts, and hat to wear on Sundays. What do you think?
Those are pretty cool, actually. They do those well.
I think they're the same color that my dad wore to his wedding in 1974.
Ah, good old Dale. I like it.
Anyway, so the Rangers have started really trying to get people revved up for the stadium. I'm excited. J-Mac is excited. We're trying to get our press passes in order because that's really exciting. But also, they're doing a ton of stuff. Not only have they finally unveiled the map for like the distances between home plate and the different walls in the outfield.
You got to run down a couple of those here for us in a second.
Yeah, we will. But I'm going to pull that up. But first, they've also unveiled their uniform. So they not only have switched on a few of the alternates to where it's not just a T on the hat, it's a TX over the outline of the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And they've changed up the font on some of their shirt to where instead of saying Rangers in the block letters, it's now in a more Dodgers-inspired cursive.
Yeah, I like that. That's an older school look for sure. Speaking of which, did you happen to hear about the controversy today over the MLB jerseys in general?
No.
So this year is the first year. So originally, give a little background on jerseys, as far as like the company that provides them and everything. They recently, MLB had the contract up for different companies to basically bid on who's going to be the official jersey sponsor of MLB. And
is it Mitchell and Ness?
No, it's not. Originally, it was going to be Under Armour, and they dropped that after a little while. Since they've had some financial trouble in the last couple of years. So it ended up being that Nike came in and is going to take over the contract. And so today it was released all the different Nike uniforms for next year, which look great. However, do you care to take a guess at what the controversy was over today in these new uniforms from Nike?
Length of the sleeves.
No. Great guess though.
Thank you.
Because I'm hoping you're thinking that they're way shorter than they need to be. Is that where your head's at? Or way longer?
It's like 1993. Like it looks like Mark McGuire when you cut off his sleeves.
That's why I was wondering where your head was at. Or are they just way too long?
Yeah, it's all just 3/4 length baseballs, like Ben Baseball's favorite uniform.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. But no, that was not the controversy. The controversy involves the little tiny Nike check mark.
Ah, the swoosh.
The swoosh. And guess what team has the biggest problem with it?
The Yankees?
The Yankees, because they don't want it on their precious pinstripes.
No way. Really?
Guess what, Yankees fans? It's happening. So, too bad. And I think it looks fine. I think it actually looks pretty cool.
like, is it so maybe they don't want like a neon orange check mark?
No, it's just a navy. It goes with the color of the team. So like
that's
the red
the size of a Pomeranian or something.
this Springfield Isotope shirt that I'm wearing that you can see right now, and our viewers can see right now. It's like maybe 3 letters of the Springfield. It's not much at all. It's very, very minuscule. You can barely even notice it. Like 3 months into the season, no one will even notice it again, guaranteed. I think it looks pretty cool. But everybody seemed to be throwing a shit fit about it being an advertisement or whatever on their team or on their jersey.
Is that a real expression?
What?
The type of fit that they're throwing?
A shit fit?
Yeah.
You don't know about a shit fit?
That seems made up.
No, a shit fit's a real thing. Remember the fit that Sam threw whenever the in fantasy baseball the team basically scored points, or the player scored points, but he didn't get credit for it because they got sent down to the minors? That was a shit fit.
That's my second favorite fantasy baseball Sam story. My favorite being whenever he had a rage against Father Time because a game got delayed for 3 months.
Yep.
And the points ended up counting and adjusting his score in August from a game that then was scored for May.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it seems like a ridiculous controversy. It really does.
Absolutely. It's totally unnecessary.
It feels like a thing to bitch about.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All right, so the last thing that we wanted to talk about, and I kind of teed you up for this a second ago, is the measurements at the new ballpark.
Yes, so I have those pulled up right now. So I'm going to note the old one is called Globe Life Park. The new one is called Globe Life Field. If you pull up a diagram, and I'll have JMac throw this out there on the good old Twitter, new Globe Life Field looks a bit more angular, like very similar in the sketching, but Globe Life Park is a little bit more rounded in some of the outfield walls. So to left field, you have 332 on the old, 329 on the new. To left center, that's going to be 400 feet versus 410 in the new Globe Life Field. Right center is going from 407 to 407, so that's not moving. Then you get a nice sharp angle going towards right field, and that's going to be 381 versus 374. That's going to save 6 feet. And then finally to right field, 325 to 326. So definitely some different steepness of angles. It almost reminds me of some of the weird walls in right field off of like Fenway.
So I agree with you. I'm upset though, because you kind of left out the part of this story that I thought you would find the most interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
You know all those numbers have significance, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so you're going to talk about that?
No, go for it.
Okay, so I can't believe you're glossing over this. The history guy on this show.
Well, those are for the numbers for like the distance from the home plate to the wall, like the other stuff. Yeah, go for it.
But even so, like I think that these are really significant and make it really unique. So you talked about the left field line being 329. That's 329 feet, and that's for Adrian Beltre's number 29. I think that's a worthy honor, don't you?
Absolutely.
The left field power alley is 372 feet to commemorate the Rangers' first year in Arlington in 1972. Pretty cool.
Okay. Yep.
Also, I would like to know what a power alley is, so if you can get back to me on that, that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Dead center is 407 feet for Pudge Rodriguez's number 7.
Mm-hmm.
The deepest part of the park is 410 feet for the professional hitter Michael Young, who wore number 10. That's awesome.
Love it.
That's awesome. And right field's power alley, again, this is the other power alley, is 374 for the turnaround gang, the tram that went from 57 to 84 wins in 1974.
Okay. And then finally,
home plate is 42 feet from the backstop to honor Jackie Robinson.
love it. So that's my favorite part of it, and that's how we got to bring it on home. You got to start and end it with Jackie Robinson. I almost wore my Robinson jersey for this podcast. So if you like what you're hearing, make sure to check us out. We are at sensiblyloud.com. Plus, we are all over your social media pages. So if you like what you're hearing, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. Huge props to JMac for producing this and most other episodes. Plus, we have a ton of other podcasts out there for you to check out. So make sure to tune them in. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. It helps us out. And check out those good old folks at at audibletrial.com/SLM.
We want to thank everyone for tuning in for episode 93 of the Outfielder podcast. We would like to thank all of our fans, Sensibly Loud Media, our sponsors, and those with a sharp eye to keep the runners close. Grounds crew, please keep patrolling that outfield. Big ups to Vincent Namoli. Don't text and drive, and we'll see you right back here next time on the Outfielder podcast.